Thank you.
Dani, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing this film with us and being here with us.
Thank you for inviting me.
I want to start with asking you, you're capturing here, I feel, the moments of chaos that were immediately after October 7th. What inspired you to make this film?
I don't know if the word inspiration is the word that I will use, because, my first feature film, The Death of Cinema and My Father Too, I shot when I discovered my father was ill. He was dying from cancer, and I decided to shoot a film about it. And I've done it not because I had an idea what the film will look like, but I think maybe I needed the film to organize the chaos in my life. And also I used the camera as a shield from life. And after October 7, I think I had this kind of same thoughts about, or desire to just somehow get a grip of life.
That does make perfect sense. Where did you start? What was the process here? This is obviously a unique film in terms of filmmaking in general, but maybe share a little bit about the process.
So I had this idea about a girl from the kibbutz that is looking for her dog after October 7. That's the only sentence I wrote. I didn't have a script. And I tried maybe to write a script, but I felt that I cannot really put words to these people now after the trauma, or still when they are still in the trauma. So I decided to meet people and to offer them to be in the film, and if they said yes, so they will be in the film. That's it. And me and Ori, that she's also actually considered, I see her as a co-creator of the film with me. She wrote the script with me, Ori Avinom. So we discuss about the story of this girl, and we were in touch with a girl in Nir Oz that had back then a similar story. After she discovered that her father actually was killed and her mother returned, but back then both her parents were kidnapped, and she was also 17 from Nir Oz, so we were in touch, and actually it's not exactly her story, but she gave the reference to the story. And so Ori had the story in mind, and every character or every man or woman we met, so we just we told them, okay, imagine Ori, she's like this girl from the kibbutz. So it was so easy for them to do it, and they will just improvise.
So you have, for example, the woman that finds lost animals.
Yes, Nora. Okay, so I knew about Nora when I had some research about how can you actually find a dog. So there were a couple of animal rescuers back then, and Nora was one of them. And actually, I knew her also because a year before, she were the main protagonist of a documentary film about her life. Because she's not an animal rescuer, she is a bat rescuer. She has a bat kind of, treatment. So
bats. We're talking about bats.
Bats, yeah.
Flying rats.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's bats. Yes. So and she's amazing. And I called her, and she said yes. And she was doing work, like we just joined her for a day of work.
So her scenes at the checkpoints, all
Yes,
just her day of work.
Yes, and actually, we were looking for 2 dogs there in another kibbutz, and she didn't find them in that day, but those dogs were found 1 week after. They were still at the house. You remember the house was closed, but the dogs were still there.
The film had its premiere at the Venice Film Festival. How have people been reacting to the film? What have been the international reactions to it?
I think that the screening went very, very good. Actually, the screening itself went very good at Venice. There was one petition of not directors, people from the film industry against the film, but before they saw the film. But I think it went well.
And where has it been showing internationally?
It showed in Venice and in Busan and in Hong Kong, in Argentina. That's the main festivals.
And then otherwise in Jewish film festivals
and yes, Jewish
around the world.
Or like we discussed before, Woodstock, that it's not Jewish but actually Jewish.
Pretty much. What are your hopes for an audience at this point? Now you're looking at it over. I mean, this was finished over close to a year later since you finished it, and looking back at it now, what are kind of your learnings of why is this an important film for audiences to see?
I wanted to talk about humanity in time of crisis, and I feel that it was important back then, but now, when this tragedy is still going on, also the hostages and also the massacre in Gaza still going on, so I think it's important to see it, yes.
I'd love to open it to questions from our audience too and make you a part of this. I'll just say that I think that you really capture that moment in time, and it was so important. I know a lot of Israeli filmmakers, that's what they were able to do at that time when everyone was lost, and in many ways took us beyond all the headlines and got into to show us the people on the ground and the experiences on the ground.
Yes, I feel that that there were a lot of news kind of articles or news piece about what happened, but cinema is still with us. Like for me, there is a film called Medium Cool from '68 about the San Francisco riots. If you of Hexler-Wexler, for example. So this is like the now one of the documents to understand what's happening in '68 in Chicago. Excuse me, not San Francisco, Chicago. So anyhow, I feel that it's important also for the future to just have this document.
Absolutely. Much to discuss here, but let's take some questions from the audience. We have one there.
Thank you very much. What was the significance of the dates that were popping up? I didn't understand their relevance.
The diary. Yes.
Dates.
I try to write the diary of her mother, for 2 reasons. One, to make the mother as a character, to understand who was her mother, and the second one, to capture the spirit of the kibbutz before the massacre. Because, we talk about the kibbutz, we talk about Nir Oz only after October 7th, but I want to in a way, touch what was the kibbutz for her before.
We got a question up there.
Yeah. Thank you. It's a beautiful movie, and very powerful. It played here also at the the Jewish Film Festival maybe 6 months ago, and I felt like I wasn't ready to see it. But now, with some more time, I was ready to see it. But it's still it's resonating. Was it hard to get the funding to do this film compared to other films that you've made?
Actually, it was very easy because the Israeli Film Fund support us from the first moment we go on the way. I called Noah Regev, the head of the Israeli Film Fund, and I told her about my idea, and she told me, okay, go, and we will find a way to support you. So, and then they were joining other funds, like the Negev funds or Albi funds that are based here in New York. So it was, and Alexander Rodyansky, that is he's a great Ukrainian producer that saw a couple of the materials and said that he want to be part of it. And then we had an Italian partner. So it was very easy.
We have a question right here.
And was it an expensive shoot? Because technically, tell us a little bit about the production. I mean, it wasn't like you were coming out there.
No. It was maybe I'm not a businessman, but maybe it was very easy to support the film because it was so cheap. In the beginning we were only one car, like Ori and Ziv, the cinematographer, and myself and the producer, and then we had another car with us, because we need an assistant for the cameraman. But that's it. So I think it was cheap, yes.
How soon after the massacre did you shoot the film, and did you have trouble having access to the area?
We shot the beginning of November, 4 weeks after, 3.5 weeks after. And because Nir Oz, the Nir Oz community invited us, not the community, but the people that we were in touch, invited us to the kibbutz. So it was easier, but still, because it was a closed military zone, so we need to find access to get in the zone. There are, all the main characters are real people, but there are soldiers in the film. So the first soldier is my producer that is running after the girl, and the second soldier, the officer that look at the phone to see the dog, she's the assistant director, okay? And so we rent uniforms and we rent also plastic guns, and it was such a chaos back then. So because we had, I was with an officer with a gun, so people saying, okay, the officer know what we are doing.
Did you have a
Don't tell it.
Did you have a follow-up question? No.
We'll take one last question down here.
It was interesting, the images of Gaza and the other side of the war, and why she's looking at those pictures on Telegram, and just how you saw both the sides. And then the part about the dog running to Gaza, is that a possibility? Is
that a possibility? Yes. Let's start that there were no fence back then, so the dogs were running from Gaza to the Israeli side. From Israel, they were running maybe to the Gaza side, but it was a chaos. It still is a war. And when it was important for me to show the images from Gaza, because first I wanted to somehow talk about the way we experience in those days, the images of the massacre in Israel and the massacre in Gaza. And that it's all blend together, and we cannot feel, because it's just attacked your soul, so you cannot really feel anymore. You just see all these pornographic images. So I wanted to talk about that, and from that images, the dream sequence built, because I want somehow to talk that it's enter her mind and subconscious.
I want to say, of course, we're here. Who knew this would go on this long? And we're over 600 days, obviously, into this terrible war and conflict. And there are still, obviously, hostages being held. And we wish them a really safe and speedy return and an end to this conflict and an end to this war. Thank you, Dani, for being here with us. Dani will be here tomorrow night with the film The Vanishing Soldier, which was made just before October 7th and resonates as powerfully as this one. Thank you so much. Thank you,
Thank
folks. Up next, we have